Hey, this is Southern California Comics weekly video update. I'm Danny.
I'm Adrian,
Yes.
aka Black Tony Stark.
I thought that was Ghostface Killer.
No. I'm the original one. Ghostface, I don't think he even reads comics. I read comics. Go ahead.
Yeah, Matt could be here today, so we got Adrian filling in.
That's cool, and it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yeah. We didn't have to get him too hard to agree to it, you know?
I think I was begging.
Kinda.
Yeah.
From what I heard.
Yeah. You know how I am.
Yeah. You guys know the score. Stuff came out this week, comics-wise. We're going to tell you what's out, what's good, what's interesting, what is a new number one. Would you like to start off?
Yeah. I've read, out of my stack this week, I've probably read about half my stack. So, out of the stack that I've read, I am going with Cable and X-Force. It is the only decent X-Force title out there that Marvel is putting out.
I like the other one, but
You like the other one?
yeah,
Nah,
it's fun.
it's too many girls in it. I don't like the twin.
Phantom X.
Phantom X.
I love all that stuff. So,
Cable,
who's that? Number 12?
This is number 12. What I like about Cable and X-Force is that it really is a passionate look at Cyclops. I mean, not Cyclops, but Colossus.
Oh yeah.
Because Colossus was affected by the Phoenix Force when, the whole AVX thing.
Yeah.
And it's really dealing with a lot of Hope and what Hope is going through after and the aftermath of that, and how Cable is really still the key. Like, whatever Cable's doing in the Marvel Universe, everybody should pay attention to. Like, Cable is the one that knows it all.
Yeah, he's often the most important guy.
He's the most important person in the Marvel Universe, hands down, more than Tony Stark, because he's like the last man on Earth. Really?
Yeah. He's like, I know what goes down, guys.
Yeah. So you gotta listen to Cable.
Dial H number 15 is out. It's the last issue, which is very sad. One of my favorite DC books. It's just weird and bizarre, and yeah. Issue 15, final issue. It's $5, which threw me for a loop. It's like, I've been paying $3 for this the whole time, but now it's $5. It's like I'm being punished, but I was willing to pay it, so.
Does this tie into the Trinity storyline at all? Does the Dial H have anything to do with the supernatural side, like the Justice League Dark? Because I have never read one of those.
Oh, no. It's
a standalone.
Sort of standalone. The
Okay.
DC Universe exists, I think.
Okay.
It's not really clear.
All right.
It's got its own, like, weird little world it's dealing
So it's
with.
not an Elseworlds or nothing like that.
No.
But it's in the same New 52
Yeah.
continuity. Okay. All right. Cool.
Not that you'd ever notice reading it, but yeah,
Alright.
now it's done, so pick up all 15 issues and catch up.
Or get the graphic novel.
Exactly.
Yeah. It'll be out, what, a month or two?
A few months, probably.
Yeah. My next one is Avengers AI. I'm reading Avengers AI mainly because I like to see the after story of the epic,
Like the big crossover.
like
yeah.
the big crossover. So this is kind of the continuing story of Age of Ultron. Now, my theory on Marvel now is that if you look at the comics and you look at where they're going with the movies,
Yeah.
they are really trying to tell the most contemporary stories to get everybody caught up to where the comic books are, to where the movies are. And I think that's why the whole Marvel Now thing is, because the next Avengers is called
Age of Ultron. Yep.
And what this comic does is it brings back a Iron Man armor that had got sentient life. It was this armor of Iron Man's, and the artwork was done by Quesada, and I think it was maybe the late 90s.
Oh, really?
But the artwork was done by Quesada, and the Iron Man armor had received. It was almost like an Ultron version, but it tried to take over Tony, and it was a good dark story about the armor trying to really. It loves Tony, but it loves Tony too much, so now it wants to protect Tony from the world, and you know what I mean. So
Okay.
very good story, but the armor returns in this one, and so. And on blogs I've read that the Age of Ultron in the movies might not be the Hank Pym Ultron, but they're trying to say that Tony Stark might have had a lot to do with the Ultron armor. So
yeah,
maybe tying this in has a lot to do with it.
Like, I bought that issue. Now I really want to read it.
Yeah. I think it's a good read too.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. I really like the art.
Okay.
Very European.
Yeah.
New Image #1, Sidekick, from J. Michael Straczynski and Tom Mandrake. It's a superhero book. It's about a guy, like a sidekick, whose mentor is assassinated. So it carries on from there. I haven't read it. Not a fan of Straczynski myself, but a lot of people seem to like him. I liked Rising Stars like 10 years ago.
I just bought 10 grand.
Oh yeah?
That's Straczynski,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've heard good things about it, and it's one of those books that I'm buying, and I'm just sitting on my stack, and I know that I'm going to get to at some point in time.
Yeah.
You know.
If you let them pile up, it's just a better read.
Yeah, yeah.
Get like 5 in a row. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally.
My next book is, of course, Iron Man, and it's kind of piggybacking on the whole AI thing.
Yeah.
Because come to find out that if you're reading Iron Man now, Tony Stark's father, Howard Stark, made a deal with this universal artificial intelligence because Maria Stark was expected not to come to term with the baby.
Yeah.
So this universal artificial intelligence approached Howard Stark saying that if you use the baby, well, if you let me use your baby, I can help her bring the baby to term. So it's kind of almost where Howard Stark made a deal with the devil to create Tony Stark.
Wow.
And he imprinted Tony Stark with all this technology that is now supposed to be coming to place with Infinity. So basically he programmed Tony Stark in the womb to be his pilot for this ultimate god-killing robot that protects the Earth from all other outside alien forces. Like, it could punch holes through planets.
Wow.
So it's a really deep story. It shows Tony Stark with really at his weakest and most vulnerable point, because this artificial intelligence has basically taken over his armor again. And it's just a deep story. Iron Man. It's a good read.
Nice. And it ties into Infinity? Ish?
We'll get to that. kind of in the next set. Yeah.
Teensy
Yeah.
bit. Alright, new #1 from Boom Studios, RoboCop: The Last Stand. It's an adaptation of Frank Miller's script for RoboCop 3. It's kind of like when Avatar did it a couple years ago with his script for RoboCop 2, just adapting in the comics form. I really like that version, like that RoboCop 2 adaptation, so now they're doing RoboCop 3. It's probably super violent and super satirical.
Are we talking about the movie or the book?
The book.
Oh, okay. All right.
The movie version of RoboCop 3 is neither violent nor satirical.
Yeah.
It's just goofy.
I was at Comic-Con for the panel for the RoboCop.
The remake?
The remake.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, Bryan Cranston. Super awesome.
Yeah.
Look for the new RoboCop. You guys will be, especially when it comes out.
Yeah.
It'll all tie back to comics anyway, so people will see the new RoboCop and it'll make people more interested in the whole mythos. That's how this stuff works.
I didn't realize Sam Jackson was in it.
Oh man, it's crazy.
Who does he play?
He's basically the personality that is coercing everybody into the culture of we need robots to protect America.
Interesting.
So
That's an interesting role.
You know how sci-fi is, man. This is why we love this, because these books translate into what everybody else is soon going to see visually. So it's very good. My last book, Superior Spider-Man 15.
Has it already been 15 issues?
Oh my god, I love Superior Spider-Man.
It's fun.
It is, next to Uncanny Avengers, I'd say they're both there.
Yeah.
And I just love Otto Octavius Spider-Man and Peter Parker's
It's such a good twist.
it's totally insane.
Yeah.
It's totally cliche, right? Like seriously.
Yeah, like
totally cliche, but the writing and they're pulling it off. And that's one thing that I love about Marvel, is that they can take the most cliche, really old school superhero story.
Yeah. That's
with
like
a modern twist.
Yeah, that's like one episode of a superhero cartoon.
Yeah,
like one twist, and they're bringing it out for like
at
least 15 issues.
It is super, super good. and he's really doing a good and a bad number on Peter Parker's life inside of his body, because Peter Parker no longer exists, if you didn't know. So that's
Isn't he like a ghost just yelling in his ear?
No. He got taken out by Octavius about 6 issues back.
Whoops.
He's gone. No more Peter. He doesn't even like Mary Jane. He likes a small person. He's in love with a small person.
Like,
but it's Otto Octavius.
Yeah.
So it's Otto Octavius's, feel for women. But he did take advantage of Mary Jane. He took advantage of all Peter's love interests.
Yeah, he had to feel out the world.
Yeah. But he's in love, or he's infatuated with a small person. So here it is. Peter Parker's.
Wow.
Peter Parker's body, Otto Octavius's mind, is trying to get his. He's finally trying to get his doctorate, or his, finish his schooling.
Yeah.
So.
Because Parker was pretty bad at that.
Yeah. Even though he was a genius, he just never followed through. Where Otto Octavius is actually putting Peter Parker's life in order that Peter Parker could never do.
That's hilarious.
But he's super bad. So, awesome book.
Yep. All right. One last one from me. New image #1. Again, it's called Burn the Orphanage. It's from Sina Grace and Daniel Friedman. I picked this up because I'm a big fan of Sina Grace, and I haven't read it yet, but it's kind of like a fighting game kind of thing. He looks like a Final Fight Double Dragon kind of guy.
I like those broad colors like that.
Yeah, really great
Show
colors.
That page right there.
Yeah.
That page is pretty awesome.
He's a Guile jump kicking a dude's head off. Like, the Guile from Street Fighter, like flash kick. Yeah, he's doing that to a guy's head, and it is flying off.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
I can't wait to read that. Burn the Orphanage. We have a bunch of copies. Come check it out. 3-issue miniseries. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for selling me. Now I gotta buy it.
Here you go.
Thank you.
So you were all Marvel. I was kind of like everybody else. But we're gonna talk about Marvel and DC some more in the next segment.
We're just gonna talk about basically how the universes are doing as far as relating to their fan base.
Yeah.
And how us fans can be pretty judgmental about the continuity of it, the storyline.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that next.
Next segment.
Okay.
Right now. All right, and we're back. And we're gonna talk about the age-old question of DC versus Marvel.
I like to call it the big two.
Yeah.
If you're in the comics, if you don't know DC and Marvel, then you're probably not that long into reading comics and you're new to it, which there's nothing wrong to it, but that's where all the history is. I mean, if anything about comic history, it all goes back to DC and Marvel. And so this is more about how we both feel about where they are right now for readers and for fans. And hopefully you guys might see this or scroll through this and kind of have the same opinion, and you can make comments on the website.
Right below.
Yeah. So
on the YouTube.
Us fans, we should stick together and share our opinions like this on mediums like this. So let's get to it.
All right.
All right.
Marvel, let's go.
Marvel. Okay. So right now, Marvel Now is the logo that is on the comic books. And Marvel Now is a broad, it's a broad umbrella. Marvel's got so many products out there. So many staple heroes that you really need a separate income just to keep up with just Marvel, if you want to know what's going on in the whole universe. What I'm going to talk about right now is basically how I feel Marvel is a more consistent company in the continuity of the books, especially as a fan. I've been reading comic books for over 30 years, so I kind of know a lot of the history. I would say, if I've been reading for 30 years and I know the history, I would say I'm an expert, like a professor at this. So Marvel is very good at tying back to their old stories and bringing back old storylines that might not have made sense back then.
Yeah.
But they'll write about something today and bring back a old storyline that for fans that might have missed it, you can go back and research it and find something interesting to read. Marvel now is really for, I'm going to go right with X-Force. Since AVX, it changed the whole, how Earth is perceived, how the earthly heroes of Earth are viewed throughout the universe. And just how Earth, because of that Phoenix Force, we defeated the Phoenix Force, this entity that had been known to destroy worlds, and we defeated it. It put Earth on a whole new galactic level. And Marvel is doing that in many books. But I'm concentrating on X-Force because I'm an Apocalypse fan. I love everything to do about the X-Men, Apocalypse.
Yeah. And that Remender run is all about Apocalypse.
Oh man, the Remender run for X-Force was really the best solid read for two years on Marvel. At least for me, when he was writing it, people were really, because he was late on it a couple of months, and people would really be like, dude, when's that next X-Force coming out? At least people like me would.
Yeah.
And that X-Force run set up a lot about where they're going with how people who had been affected by Apocalypse before, people like Wolverine, who had been a horseman of Apocalypse, people like Warren Worthington, who ascended to the throne of Apocalypse, which Wolverine killed, who had to kill, which he was then reincarnated as the new Angel Now, which Angel Now is pretty good. If you're reading Wolverine and the X-Men or any of the X-Men titles, the new Angel is a pretty interesting character. But Uncanny X-Force brings in, no, Uncanny Avengers brings in that continuing story, but it's bringing in the Avengers into it, and how the Avengers are dealing with the whole AVX aspect of it.
Yeah.
And you got Red Skull, like it's tying in like not just the X-Men's enemies, people like Apocalypse,
Yeah.
like who's the most dangerous mutant, first mutant, he's the first mutant.
Yeah.
And he's destroyed the planet and, you know, in different incarnations. But then you're bringing in the Red Skull, who is Captain America's arch nemesis,
Yeah.
who basically implants Professor Xavier's cerebellum to his cerebellum. So now the Red Skull has the powers of really the baddest mutant out there. I mean, Professor Xavier is really the most underused X-Man out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as far as his power base. But, and then you have Thor. A Thor aspect of it, because the babies of Warren were kidnapped by Kang, taken into the future. They come back, they steal Thor's had a lot of different weapons, and he had a axe, and I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's like Yarnborn or something.
Yarnborn. That
Huge axe.
Odin had blessed to be able to slice through celestial armor. Apocalypse is really a celestial. He was, you know, he was blessed by the Celestials with celestial technology. And the Celestials are the gardeners of the universe. But Odin blessed this hammer to be able to cut through celestial armor. Thor lost it, like in the far past. Kang raised Warren Worthington's Apocalypse kids in the future, sent them back in time, stole Thor's hammer, come back in time, they kill a Celestial, and when they killed the Celestial, it put a lot more attention on Earth. Just how I said, like how the Phoenix Force made Earth, the heroes of Earth and the mutants of Earth, be a lot more noticeable on a galactic level. Well, when these two mutants come back from the future, kill a Celestial, basically use Thor's hammer, and then as soon as Thor sees that hammer that he lost years ago, that Odin had warned him that it would come back to bite him, he has a commitment to it. So Uncanny Avengers has a commitment of the X-Men, a commitment of Captain America with the Red Skull, and a commitment of Thor. And you've never seen that much commitment in a storyline where it encompasses all of the Marvel heroes.
Yeah, and it sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty easy to follow.
Yeah,
That's the crazy part.
It is. It is super easy to follow. And one thing about Marvel, I might have little criticisms, but you can pick up a Marvel book and you can see in their writing that it's all tied together. So that's what I feel about Marvel, and I think they're great. And you're gonna go with DC.
DC's a little different. They just rebooted their continuity almost a couple years ago. We're nearing the 2-year anniversary. So yeah, everything's been rebooted. It's a whole new continuity, except for the parts where it isn't. And they haven't had a big crossover yet. They're coming up on Forever Evil in a couple months.
Yeah.
So what I'm about to say will probably change, but right now it's pretty segmented.
Because the Justice League crossover is just really between those three books. It hasn't been like a universal crossover, but the Universal Evil is supposed to be, and it looks good too.
It does look kind of good.
Yeah.
Right now, Justice League's in the not Forever Evil, Trinity War crossover, which is just the different Justice Leagues fighting each other. The Justice League of America, Justice League Dark. 2/3 of them are written by the same guy, Jeff Johns, so you kind of get a sense of continuity from it.
Yeah.
It's like, you start off with Justice League, and that goes on for a while, and then they bring in Justice League of America, and it ties into Justice League a lot. So, and it has a bunch of superheroes, so you get the sense of this universe, right?
Jeff Johns is their go-to guy.
Yeah.
At DC, like Jim Lee is their artist, but he's not a good writer, right? Jim Lee's not a writer; he's just an artist, and he might have a good direction or whatever. But Jeff Johns is their brainchild.
Yeah, he's like one of the guys running the show in that universe.
But see, that's my problem with DC is that he's really there. Well, you could say Snyder.
Yeah.
But there's only 2. Where in Marvel, there's like a million brainchilds.
Yeah, they all meet up. And
it's crazy.
Have ideas together. But yeah, otherwise everything's pretty segmented in the DC universe. All the Green Lantern books happen, and they have their own little crossovers in their own world, which is cool if you're just in the Green Lantern. That's all you want. And Batman too. So you got the Year Zero thing that's happening, which is in a few months it's actually going to cross over with the other books in the DC universe. They're going to show what was happening in that world. Whatever major event happens in this storyline, like you'll be able to see how it affects the Flash or whoever. So like they're starting to bring the universes back together, these little worlds. I'm
not saying I don't like DC, because I do. Because I'm still buying them.
Yeah.
I'm still reading Justice League and Batman, and I think that they're great. I just cannot bring them all together.
Yeah.
Because I think their history is so jacked up that you can't.
Yeah, they're always rebooting and coming up with like new ideas to change what happened in the past, and it's always so confusing. Like that's why I've been gravitating towards the more standalone stuff. Like I can just read Animal Man every month and not know what's going on anywhere else except Swamp Thing sometimes. And that's cool. Or Batman Incorporated was one of my favorite books. It just ended. You just read all the Grant Morrison Batman stuff and it's there for you.
And it's even a standalone from other Batman books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the other Batman books, you can see where they tie in. But Grant Morrison's Batman Incorporated, for me, I thought really was separated. And actually, that story had an effect on how it was so separate how they had to change writings on the other Batman books, like with the death of Damian. How, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that that's what DC had really intended, because
they committed to this year-long story, and then they rebooted the universe, and they're like, we still have to stick with the story.
Yeah.
Comics are very confusing.
Yeah.
And we should wrap this up.
Okay. Basically, this was just a perspective of 2 fans who love comics, and we have a good perspective of the big 2. That's Marvel and DC. DC's still great, but as a fan perspective, I would kind of give them a kind of a...
You can just say Marvel is better. It's fine.
Yeah, I give
They're
them
not
a
reading
side
this.
thumb.
They're not watching this.
Yeah, but I would say Marvel's better.
And I would agree. What? Oops.
Uh-oh. Yeah, consistently.
There's lots of DC books I like, though.
Yeah, me too. I just can't help but buy them. All right, well, thank you for having me.
Yes, this was fun.
Yeah, I got the Punisher shirt, got the Punisher shoes. I always have them.
He's always showing his sneakers.
I I had these ones made. I get one made a month. I'm gonna get 12 of them, and I'm gonna base them all off of certain characters.
Like color schemes.
Color schemes.
That's really cool.
I showed Sam my Daredevils I just had made, so hopefully.
And it's cool because if you're not into it, you don't even notice. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like good color coordination.
And it's kind of like I like to call it nerd chic. You know what I mean? Like you can represent yourself and still look,
It's all about the
contemporary.
subtlety.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys.
We'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.